Well, good evening again, and welcome back to another live reading of Hank the Cowdog, the Case of the Vampire Cat by John R. Erickson. And tonight, Chapter 7, Holy Smokes, I've Been Abandoned. I returned to the front of the house and began pacing around near the point where the pasture trails merge with the main road out of the ranch. Slim would be coming down the road any minute now, and I wanted to be there when he came through. I was pretty sure that he would have stopped anyway and honk his horn and call for me because, well, by that time he would have missed me and would be frantic with concern, and I didn't want to take any chances of getting left. So I paced in the middle of the road, waiting, watching, listening. In the course of listening, what I heard was Mary D. Cat crying under the house. So I paced around in the middle of the road a little further. Oh, it didn't bother me at all, even though the heads of ranch security have a warm side to us, to our nature, that is, and we're famous for being kind to children. I mean, that's bred into us. To become a head of ranch security, a guy must take a solemn oath, a solemn cowdog oath, to protect and defend and be nice to all children, even the ones who are bratty. Now, but we also have this other side, which is cold and hard and made of quarter-inch steel armor plating. It allows us to conduct slashing interrogations and solve murder cases without the slightest quiver of emotion. Now, we're talking about your basic hard-boiled ranch dog here. And listening to sad stories is just part of the job. It was this cold, hard side of my nature that greeted the sobs of Mary D. Cat. Yes, I heard them, but they bounced off my steel-plated eardrums. They bounced off like, I don't know what, but they bounced off. I continued to pace in the snow. Don't get me wrong. Making ladies cry has never been high on my list of things to do. Fun things especially. Now, not even lady cats. Maybe some dogs get a kick out of it, but I don't. I do it when I have to. It's just part of the job. Every once in a while, you make a lady cry. It can't be helped. And I wish she would stop crying. Hey, I told her the truth. If she couldn't handle the truth, that was her problem. I had problems of my own. What was keeping Slim so long? I cocked my ear and listened. Crying, weeping, sobbing. The only thing more annoying than a cat rubbing on your leg is when they're under the house crying. I have absolutely no use for... I changed the direction of my pacing ever so slightly and eased over to a point in front of the house. Kitty, you can't help it if you're weird. You do the best with what you got, which isn't much. More blubbering. Look, everyone in this world has got to be something, and you just happen to be a little bit crazy. It's no big deal. More blubbering. I slipped under the fence and stood in front of the hole in the foundation. I wish you wouldn't do that. I mean, you can't fall apart just because somebody tells you the truth. I gave you my honest opinion. What more can I say? No change. Look, will you say something? I'm leaving soon, and... I stuck my head into the hole. I couldn't see where she was in the darkness, but I could hear her loud and clear. Look, my car and driver will be here any minute now. I'm a very busy dog, and I don't have time to waste on crybabies and ball bags. At last she spoke up, through tears, of course. I'm not a baby or a ball bag. I'm just a poor, lonely cat who's been marooned for 2 long years and wants a bite of cheese and a friendly face, but nobody cares. Yes, well, that's sort of the bottom line, isn't it? Well, I'm going to be leaving in a minute or so. Let's just try to wrap this deal up. I'm coming back to feed the cows another day. You work on your problems and get all the tears out of your system, and maybe we can sit down and talk about this. And what do you say to that? She said, more tears. Look, Cat, do you want to resolve this thing or not? Well, there's my ride. I heard the sound of the motor. I have to go. Have a great day. She bawled even louder at that. Well, what did you want me to say? Have an awful day? Okay. Have an awful day. Adios. Goodbye. Hors d'oeuvres. Too bad for her. I had done my best. I wiggled out of the hole. I'd gotten myself a little further under the house than I planned. I wiggled my way out of the hole and put Miss Mary D. Cat and her problems behind me. And I saw the camo stealth truck go down the road and disappear behind a curtain of snow. Hey, wait a minute. Why didn't he stop or blow his horn? How was I supposed to? I'd been waiting in the middle of the road. I went dashing away from the house and down the road. I barked, I yelled, I went to turbo lightning speed and chased the truck for half a mile until my turbo lightning speed turned into turbo mush. Exhausted, I stopped. And there, standing in the middle of the road, in the silence, with snowflakes falling on my nose, I had to face the awful truth. Slim hadn't even noticed that I was missing. He had left me, and now I was marooned and abandoned, a dog without a home or country. And for some reason, I found myself thinking about cheese? Cheese? That was ridiculous. Totally absurd. I don't even like cheese. It's too hard to chew and he gets stuck up all in my gum work. I followed that simple logic that I would not allow myself to think about it. Hey, if I only didn't like cheese, but I knew that craving was one of the first symptoms of it was worse than fleas and ringworms. I didn't want it. And I would not allow myself to become a victim of cheeserosis. No way. That was all right for your weirdo crybaby cats, but not for dogs. Furthermore, just because I was now marooned and abandoned didn't mean that I was going to rush back to the house and establish a diplomatic relations with Mary D. Cat. No thanks. In the first place, there was a very high probability that Slim would appear in his era, come streaking back to the canyon country to rescue me any minute now. Hence, my period of exile would probably not last long. Couple of hours at the most. Nothing to be alarmed at. In fact, at that very moment I turned and I looked down the road and didn't see him coming. But then again, I really hadn't expected him back so soon. Anyways, no big deal there. In the second place, I'd always considered myself a very self-sufficient dog. The kind of dog who enjoys his own company and could always find ways of passing the time. Now, your ordinary dogs, your poodles, your house dogs, your little yip-yips, they couldn't spend a minute alone without going into a panic. Why? Because they're such boring little mutts that they have to spend time alone to them is to die a slow, boring death. Not me, fellers. When I'm alone, I'm in the company of the most interesting and resourceful dog I know. So the thought of me being marooned with me for an hour or two or half a day or a whole day or even several days or a week. Okay, maybe it wouldn't be all that great, but I knew I could handle it. Self-discipline, that's the secret. And I had gobs of self-discipline. And I sure as thunder didn't crave the company of a sniveling piece of cheese. The company of a cat, I should say, a sniveling cat. And I didn't go streaking back to the house. I walked back to the house. And I didn't go straight to the hole in the foundation and tell my story to Mary D. Cat. No, sir, I did not. I established a temporary camp in the middle of the road and didn't even get close to the cheese. Close to the house, I should say. Even if I did get close to the house. No, I dug myself a little bed right there in the snow, right in the middle of the road where Slim would find me when he came roaring back. He would be so embarrassed and angry with himself and apologetic. Imagine him leaving the head of ranch security at the Hodges place. He would beg for understanding and forgiveness. I would grant it, but not right away. Those wounds take time to heal. All I wanted to learn, that he would learn a lesson from it. I curled up in the snow and watched the snowflakes as they fell. And I kept my eyes locked on the point where the road disappeared in the soft curtain of cheese. Of snow, I should say. Snow. The point is that I was self-sufficient and perfectly content to spend a couple of hours by myself thinking deep thoughts and laughing at my own wit, and the hours dragged by and I thought I'd go nuts. Where were they? Why hadn't they come streaking back to save me from this horrible silence and isolation? Why hadn't they come back? Hey, darkness was falling across the canyon, and the coyotes were howling, and there I was marooned and exiled and abandoned, and I wanted some cheese. And it suddenly occurred to me that Mary D. Cat needed a friend, someone to listen to, and listen to her sad tale of woe, a shoulder to cry on, and what the heck. I had a few minutes to burn, so I hiked over to the house and I looked her up. And so ends chapter 7. Join me tomorrow night for another reading of Hank the Cowdog, The Case of the Vampire Cat, chapter 8. The cat insists on being my friend and ally. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone out there, be kind, love one another, and be safe. I want to see you again. Good night. Bye-bye, guys.